bonus show.
Bonus edition.
I've got to press the right button because we're on a different screen. Good evening, hello, and welcome to a very special Seeking Special live show. All about, as you can see, this, answering some of your questions and obviously your thoughts, what you think of the kit. Was it a good release by Airfix? Was it a surprise? Because it should have been. It's probably the most closely guarded secret in Airfix's history. And stuff like that. So we're joined by our special guest who lives literally, I would say it's about a 15-minute drive for you, John? That's Chard? 20 minutes?
A bit more than that. 15 minutes if I'm flooring it.
If you're in the works van?
It's probably about, it's probably about 30 minutes.
Yes. Well, I must admit, it shows how long I'm there because I was born in Chard, but you've got Tesco's and now Aldi next to each other. So that wasn't there the last time I went through. So I don't know when they built them.
What, neither of them?
Both, no. I don't know. I think one of them was there, but I can't remember which one now. But it has been a while since I've been there. But
did it bring back memories?
I was little. I don't remember it that much. I was about 5.
Oh, there wouldn't have been an Aldi then, would there?
No, there wasn't an Aldi when I lived there.
Yeah.
My good lady lived in Chard when I met her.
Did she?
Yeah.
So you married a Chard girl.
What is a
You have to be careful how you pronounce that one. I'll get that one right. Yes. And you were a Taunton boy.
Taunton boy, yeah.
It's like lyrics from a song, isn't it?
A really bad one.
Yeah, very bad song. Absolutely. Anyway, as a lot of you know, I was there yesterday at the actual event. First of all, I must apologise for the print. I'm doing a bit of 3D printing, so you might have heard it on the PM show as well. And I thought it might take, 3 hours, but we're doing a very fine print this time, and it's taking 6.5 hours. So it seems to be getting louder, and it's only there. So apologies if you can hear something going doo, doo, and a bit of fan noise. It's just, it's that. Anyway.
Because they're putting it in 1-to-1 scale.
It feels like it's coming out in 1-to-1 scale. Yeah, absolutely. 6 hours is going to be actually this big.
Yeah.
But I've got my measurements all wrong. John, I've got a problem.
Yeah.
But yes, anyway, I was at the Airfix launch, which is absolutely fantastic because we were to the home, I suppose you'd call it, of the civilian Seeking fleet, seeing as they got 7 of them. And operate, I think there's 5 operational, 6 ones coming online very soon. They've got 2 Belgium ones. They've got 3 HAS3s, and all the rest of it. So yeah, they've got all different types down there, as well as they've got a Wessex, they've got a Lynx down there, there's a Wasp down there, Whirlwind, and that other thing I can't pronounce. What's it called, Matt?
A Widgeon.
A Widgeon, that's it, a Widgeon. So, but anyway, what happened, the reason we were there is that obviously Airfix worked with various museums all around the country, but their primary source of all the information, everything that came out was from them and their aircraft as well. Obviously, this particular one, the last scheme you can see it in, and this actual aircraft is still available, is still flying today, and is down in Portland. And it's privately operated down in there from a company. It basically trains search and rescue. As I said, it's pointing out, I think there's a lot of Ukrainians around that area at the moment being trained as well. But yeah, it's a fantastic thing. So really what we thought we'd do today is a little bit of a special. As I say, if you've got anything that you specifically want to see, if you do pop over to the website, I have got up all the high-res stuff and all the images and everything that I've taken from this one. So we've got all the instructions down here as well. If you've got any questions about those, your thoughts on it, what you think about it. Do you think that, why hasn't it got raised rivets? Because I can tell you what that is. It's the same answer that we give every time to this type of thing. But yeah, if you've got any suggestions, various bits and pieces, what you're excited about. Are you excited about other versions of this, clearly, that are going to come down the line later on and things like that? First of all, I am not anything to do with Airfix. They just paid for my day and bought me lunch. So, to be honest, I'm cheap. I'll sell out to anyone. If you buy me a breakfast pap and lunch, I'm good to go. So, but yes, so there we go. But anyway, so first of all, what was your thoughts, Matt? What did you think?
I think it's well overdue, if I'm honest. It's a subject a Sea King that's very, been obviously very popular with our armed forces over the years, different guises, different versions, and obviously we only had the Hasegawa one, didn't we, for a long time, which was a very sought after kit, but that's a US one, really, isn't it? They did the Royal Navy one at some point with the bag, did they?
Yeah, they did it with the crow's nest system with a bag on it. And obviously they did the Air Force search and rescue one as well.
Yes,
and the various bits and pieces from that. So,
but they've not been seen for ages, and obviously when they used to come second hand on eBay and places like that, they were fetching a hell of a lot of money because people wanted them. So obviously, as well, Airfix have done the little 72nd ones a while ago. So it is a natural kind of progression, I suppose, for them to do a 48th. But again, it's a very well kept secret because we've had no anything. Not that we get anything really anyway, but there's no, normally with Airfix, it's January, isn't it? They do what's going to be released.
Yeah.
No, kind of over the year, and obviously that's not in the catalogue. So new strategy for them as well, which I like. I'll be honest, I like it. I think it's good. But yeah, actually for release, well, it's a helicopter. I like helicopters, so it's all good. I'm not complaining.
No, absolutely. I must admit, as a rotary fan as well, there's something about modelling helicopters. You've got the best of both worlds. You've got the aircraft, side of it, but also you can weather it more like akin to armour. So you can do more with it because, as I say, with aircraft, streaking tends to go backwards. With helicopters, it goes downwards. Yeah. So you can do some quite interesting things, and obviously schemes and various things like that are more akin to armour in a lot of cases than it actually is aircraft. So yeah, I must admit, very, very excited for it. John, what did you think when you heard the news?
Yeah, like Matt said, long overdue. We've only ever really had the Hasegawa one. And the Westland built one is a bit of a different beast, so it's nice to see it in a decent scale. 148. And hats off to Airfix. What I like is they've kept it secret, they've announced it, and it's going to be out in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
There's none of this, like when was the last time? The Vulcan, wasn't it? They announced that at Telford and had to wait for ages for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hats off to Airfix. It looks a lovely kit. So, yeah, if that's the way they're going, brilliant.
Sorry, Phil. I just on that release, how quick it is and how they've done it. Like I say, if it carries on like that, I'm well behind them with it, to be honest, because it's then you've not got months and months and the anticipation. Because the old Airfix thing, isn't it? When they're announcing stuff in January and when it's coming out and all that lead up and all the, because it's a British company, I suppose. You don't really get with the other ones, but Airfix is always that big hurrah around them, isn't there? When stuff's coming out, went in, and but I just like this. I think this, even if it had been announced, like yesterday, and they'd announced it, and it's going to be released, say in September or even October. There's a couple of months lead time. That's good. I think when it starts, when you're in January, and then you're not going to see it till like the third quarter, going into fourth quarter, you can't even forget the buzz is gone, the excitement, because you get that initial, like we were saying earlier in the PM show, weren't you? The buzz in 2 weeks' time for this should still be there. We're obviously announced it in January. I'm interested to see how the Gannet pans out, because that's October, isn't it? And all the excitement around the Gannet when that was announced it was going to be released, to see if that excitement is still there when it's coming up to being released. I know people are going to want it, but I think there's a difference. Like we've worked out in there is a window.
Yes.
I think of excitement. So no, good on them. I like the strategy, and long may they continue.
Yes, definitely. Just to point out, what you're watching on the side, there's 2 separate videos that I shot. I did the full briefing one, where obviously we sat down for a couple of hours with Airfix and they explained it and the reasons whilst they did it. And again, it's up to you to go and watch it. It's very akin to the one that they released with the launch video, but it's a lot more in depth. And they talk about, obviously, LiDAR and all the rest of it now being in-house, which is quite exciting. Like they pointed out, before they used an external company to capture all the LiDAR data. But if you need a little bit more, or it hasn't come out very well, you're a bit stuck because they've given you a file and that's it. Now they've got the ability to literally pop back with it, scan that area again, in a different area or position or whatever it might be, or just go to another aircraft and scan that one, and then obviously they can cross-check data and various things to it. So again, that's really helped them out. And again, there's some brilliant information on there. Luke's and Chris both spoke for quite an amount of time about the design processes, and obviously some of the things they can do, some of the things they can't do with the kit, and the sort of ins and outs of it completely. And I highly recommend you go off and watch that video as well. It is linked in the review. If you go to YouTube, it's in the show notes for it, but also it's on the main site. All right, so that's part one of it. It's no point me really showing you that, but what I'm showing you on the other screen was other footage showing you all the other Sea Kings they got and some of the other nice stuff as well, right the way around it. So you can go off and watch that video as well. That one's around about sort of 40 minutes, so you can see playing on the side there and all the rest of it. But on here, you'll see how we've got fantastic access to absolutely everything. But as you say, it's a bit having them in the bottom of your garden, isn't it, so to speak.
It feels like somebody's farmyard.
It is. The thing is, it is an equestrian centre. It's horses everywhere. The weird thing is they've got the big place area, if you like, is on the other side. And you have to walk through a stable that must have, I don't know, 100 stalls in it, 150 stalls. It's huge, like these American ones. And you have to walk through it to get to that one. So, it's a bit weird. You've got horses, and they say it's like two worlds colliding there. It's fully equestrian. It's all horses, and it's lovely. And then you've got Sea Kings in the middle of it.
So this is let's figure right that. So this is an equestrian horse, which is the fancy dancy ones that do all the tricks and all that, not race horses.
No, it's not race horses. It's literally jumping and dressage and things like that.
Oh, yeah. Right, okay. Yeah.
All the girly stuff I used to do.
I'll say that now.
I would look great in my joppers. I did, little jacket.
Yeah,
as my other half says, hairnet, is it?
Lord Philip on his
yes,
pony.
That's it. On my pony, that's it. In the pony club, darling. So it's fine.
No wonder you get excited when we get to go past the equestrian bit all the time.
This is it. I do. It's that smell. So yeah. Anyway, it's, as I say, it's a fantastic place. It's not open to the public daily. They have open days. So you'd have to check if you wanted to go down, but then they have hangar tours, various things. And to be honest, and I'm going to do it as well. I'm going to join their newsletter. It's about 25 quid. And then you find out when all these days are and special events and various things. But what you are is giving to the charity, because it is a charity-based one, tax reasons probably, but it's a charity because obviously running one of these, which costs around about 6.5, 7 grand an hour to fly. So, and it's an expensive hobby. And obviously we're maintaining them and the rest of it. They've got full-time staff there as well. It's not literally just a man in his back garden doing this. And again, they've got some great ones. You see the Belgian ones there and all the rest of it. So yeah, really, really nice stuff.
So what marks the Belgian one?
That's the later one, isn't it? So I think that's, was it a Mark 46 or whatever they call it? Slightly different designation on those ones.
Yeah.
That is what you call the ultimate stash, really, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because obviously it's not just there. They're out there's a couple of older ones, shall we say, that need work. There's a Wessex Sat out there, and there's another Sea King as well. So, sorry?
Did you put an offer in?
To be honest, if you want to buy one is for sale. So we said we're going to have a whip round, everyone. So if you fancy, we have a GoFundMe page, and we can have one of these. It's going to cost probably with maintenance and all the rest of it about 8 grand an hour to use it. But I think we could do it. Anyway, they only want £1 million. They might even do us a deal.
I'm thinking of not quite one that's working. I'm thinking of a bit more of a recce one.
What, a doer-upper?
Well, a barn find. That's what we need, a barn find.
It would make the ultimate man cave.
That's what I'm saying, John. Can you imagine it in the shop?
Yes.
Well, perhaps not, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I don't think it'd fit.
On top of the shop.
That'd upset the car park, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we're taking up 10 spaces because I put a Sea King in it.
You just move that, please. Nope. No, it's good. It's very good.
So
anyway, what was your thoughts of the day?
My thoughts for the day.
Presentation and
the whole presentation. Again, I think all the guys did absolutely fantastic. Obviously, Dale sort of organised it with the rest of them, and with Brooke and Luke and Chris and all the other ones that were there. Again, they make you feel incredibly welcome. The smell's not too bad with all the YouTubers in there. I'm only joking, guys. But no, it really is, because again, it's very light-hearted. Let's face it. I'm sure, like a lot of us, we've been to business presentations and things like that, and they're a little bit stale, a bit stuffy. It's not like that at all. And also, these guys here are very welcoming as well. You can talk to them about anything. You can ask any questions. So if you watch this, he says you can go anywhere you like, you can climb in anything, but just don't get in the Wessex and the Whirlwind, because obviously it's external to get into them, into the cockpits. The rest of them, help yourself. So that's what we did. So we went off, and everyone's got cameras and that, like I did, and climbing in and out of everything, up in the pilot's seat and all the bits and pieces. And they're not even there. They're not even looking to see what you're doing. So that's a lot of trust on their part.
Well, it is for complete strangers. Was they making noises playing with a, stick?
What, pretending? Yeah.
You got to do it.
Well, this is it. Absolutely. So, but yeah, it is. It was a fantastic day. We arrived there around about 10 o'clock. For me, it's lovely because I left here just after 8:30. It's great. And so obviously I got there just after 9:30, and then started at 10 o'clock, where we all had coffee. They put on breakfast baps and all the rest of it. It's all free. Then we had a presentation exactly the same time as you guys did. So where you had it live at 10:15, we were probably getting the same thing, because they gave us a little bit of a chat about, what we can and can't do and all the rest of it. Then obviously when they played it live was probably around about the same time you guys had it as well. So we saw that intro video probably the same as you did. So, and again, there was plenty of people there. I had no idea even why they were there. I think the writing was on the wall, literally all around it. But, up to that point, they might not have known why we were there. So it was really good. It was a really good surprise, I think, for a lot of people. And it was one of those ones. It's a really good day. If you've never been to or spoken to any of the guys from Airfix, they're not like normal companies. I've dealt with other companies, and they can be a little bit stiff, shall we say. Airfix are definitely not like that. They are just normal people. They're modelers. They are people who've got a passion for it, and you can literally talk to them about anything, which I did. I talked the iron leg off of all of them, I think, at one point, and that was it. So it was great. So after that, we did the presentations and all the bits and pieces, spoke about all the design. The video's up for there. You can sit through it as well, and everything, so you can watch that one and get a better feel for it. And then we were split up into groups. So first group, we stayed back at the little centre, and we were talking questions. So I was talking to the marketing team. We were discussing everything from this, clearly, right the way through to the classic kits, the bomb bug, and all the ones that we may or may not see out again in the future, and all those types of things. So great information from the guys there, and talking about obviously how the company's doing, where they're going, some of the plans, this being a surprise release as it was, because then clearly we weren't expecting it. And then obviously it was into that thing. So we were split up into sort of 3 groups, and then obviously different areas around. So then we went off and we had to play with that first bit of video you would have just seen then, where you've got the presidential helicopter, which isn't, it's an RAF Mark III, made to paint it up to it for a Netflix thing, and then it's in Invasion as well. But again, that's a problem for the company, because with a writing strike, all filming's been cancelled for the summer. These guys, all the contracts have gone. So all the money they thought they were going to get in from doing film work and stuff like that has now gone all out the window.
Which is
and
expensive.
It's an expensive thing, isn't it?
Money, yeah, it's a big loss for income. That, yeah.
You don't really think of it from a point of view of like, the writers are on strike, and then you suddenly think, well, it's affecting them as a company, because obviously they've lost all their contracts for flying this year. And as was pointed out in our briefing as well, they don't make any money from air shows. And even I think it's in that video you'll watch, is that they even had a thing where they were charging admissions to watch the Belgian Sea Kings fly over to Belgium for a show, and then they got in trouble from the CAA because they classified it as an air show. So look, there's Luke in the background there.
Yeah, loitering.
That's it. He's sporting a very handsome beard. I felt underdressed.
Yeah.
But again, Luke's done an amazing job on this kit. He's the lead researcher on it. So he's the one who's basically gone through it and said, if we're going to do a Sea King, we're going to do this. And it was his idea to come up with doing the same airframe throughout its entire life. So obviously from the early days, here we've got it as a Mark 1 through to a Mark 5 and then a U5 as well. In all the different guises in 4 schemes. So all of those schemes is this one, which is XV666 Damien. So he had to then try and get photo references throughout its entire life, which sounds easy today, but when you've got to go back to black and white photos from the sort of 60s, 70s era from when it first went into service, well, who'd you talk to get a photo of it?
Well,
Because a lot of the people could have died. A lot
Yeah,
of people might have thrown those photos away. They might have been destroyed over time. If it's digital era, they'll just be on hard drive somewhere or in the cloud. But back then, that is the trouble. So doing the research and again, looking at photos, as he was pointing out, with the aerials on it to find out what's right. And that's why, in some ways it's great that this is one aircraft, but honestly, you're going to have to do your research because you have to work out when it is. If you're going to go with the instructions, I think he's done a good job there, and it should be roughly what you've got here. But this aircraft's been flying around for the last 30 years in all different configurations. So if you wanted to do it at a specific time, you might have to get a good reference photo showing all the aerials. But like as he points out, trouble is you get a nice photo of it, but it doesn't show the other side.
No.
So you're like, what's on the other side? Has it got one of them there? Hasn't it? Very, very difficult. So you can imagine the complexities that have gone into just the research into this one, and I think it was his first big project. So it's quite a lot of weight on his shoulders for doing something like this. And I think he's done a really good job. And again, I have to say, he's a lovely guy. He's very, very approachable. You talk to him about everything. And you can tell when you talk to him, he's got a passion for it. And I speak to lots of people in this hobby who do it for a job. And there's no passion there because at the end of the day, it's all pounds and pence. That's the bottom line. Got to make money. Which I get, it's a business at the end of the day, but it's nice to speak to people and also is a passion into it. So he's got a passion for that research. And you imagine the amount of hours that have gone into it, unpaid, that he's actually trying to find all of this stuff out and get round. And again, as he points out, lots of mileage, driving around to various museums all around the country to try and find, obviously, all the reference shots, material and everything else and get all the stuff ready for this one. So again, and that's before Chris, the designer for this kit or anything else, has even got near it,
Well, again, it shows Airfix are doing the legwork to get the research right, which we know anyway. We talk to Pranjit, don't we? Let's be honest.
Yes,
we know the lengths they go to actually try and get as accurate as you could possibly get for a model kit,
Yes, yeah.
I think, kudos to them. Oh, that's a nice wasp.
It is. Very nice.
You could have towed that away. You should have took that.
What, by the back of the car?
It's only small. Just drag it down the M5. Be fine.
Yes.
And that's obviously the way Airfix are going, isn't it? They're getting the people working for them that have got the interest as well.
Yeah.
There's a big difference.
Because obviously, Paramjet is a keen modeler and
an enthusiast as well, isn't it? I think again.
Yeah.
I think but I think that's with Airfix's difference. I think from other companies as well. There's a few exceptions. We know that, and a few other exceptions to this rule, but it is they're getting people on board who are like historians in a way, isn't it? Let's be honest, because if you've got to research a 50-year-old airframe, you've got to have some historian about you to be interested in doing it. Otherwise, that's a proper bind to be looking, trying to find information on, like you say, from when that come in service in 1970 or whatever. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of, and not just something you can Google either.
No,
is it?
No, definitely not.
That's not just let's just put that registration number in. I'm sure you can get some information, but really, like I say, it's feet on the ground and going to the museums and going to talk to people and getting as much info as you can. So. No, good on
them. Again, this is the other thing to it, is that when you're dealing with classic aircrafters, and I know technically this thing's still flying, so it's up to date, but again, we're talking about stuff that's not so much in the digital domain. So they've been going to museums to, obviously people like these guys getting their manuals and going through the technical specifications of it. I know they talk about, obviously, the rotor head, which, again, this is one of those things we'll talk about in a moment, is limitations of a kit. But the amount of detail that's in a rotor head, if you've ever seen one, you'll know that there's a million pipes, there's a million bits and pieces that seem to go to nowhere all over these things that make up a rotor head. To try and design that in a model kit, in 48 scale, it's bad enough when you're in 32nd, but, to do it and to do it well is a real achievement for something that's quite a small area. But the thing is, because it's on a model kit and you're looking down on a helicopter, it's an area you'll look at, because it's the first thing you see. It's like a cockpit on a plane. Your eye's drawn to it. Rotor heads seem to be it for helicopters. So,
well, they're the highest point, aren't they?
Yeah.
And like you say, you're normally looking down. You're not looking at table level at all, are you? Or very rarely. You're obviously looking on top of stuff. So, Yeah, it is a prominent bit of a helicopter. Obviously, the rotor head and the rotors.
Yes.
Just before it moves up in the chat, I've got a question from James. Can anyone confirm the optional canopy without the wipers is for the versions that have the shield box over the canopy, or is it for another future version, i.e. the jungly?
No, it's for both. You can either have it with windscrew wipers on or off, which is something we were involved with on a certain other kit.
It's painting options, though, isn't it?
It's a painting options. And again, it's a little bit of a legacy. It's been left over from the Buccaneer, where obviously you have the option with or without as well. So it is a nice way of doing it. And again, that's my only slight bugbear with it, that I thought it might have been, for the amount of money it's cost to produce that twin, two of them, I think it might have been better to invest that into the tooling to maybe have it as a more of a larger piece to go in, so you haven't got to put joins on framework of clear parts, because I think trying to join frames of clear parts is notoriously difficult. PVA glue, yeah, you can get it in there, it's nice and fine, but if you go in with other glues and you go a little bit over, or you end up with fogging, or it mists up, with a little bit of extra thin, it just goes a little bit too far. So I prefer to have a little bit more meat on the bone, as I call it, around the framework. So if they could have taken it to the next panel, or if it had, like on the front ones here, if it had been part of the nose as well, so it's like one piece goes on. But again, the trouble you've got with that is, because it's specific to versions, and obviously there is other ones coming down the line. It's not a beat around the bush, but the actual bow, if you like, of the hull, there's two versions. So again, you've got to make it as a separate part. But you could have put it integrated into, perhaps the next frame down or something before you get to the hinge. I think might have been a nicer option. But like was explained to me, but the cost of doing that would have certainly busted the limit on the kit at 55 quid. You'd be looking at 65 quid. So again, where'd you stop, I'm going
to say that's the other thing that I think is actually quite positive, is the pricing of it.
Yes, yeah.
I honestly, because obviously when it was released, obviously you didn't think the price, but I always thought it was going to be touching Buccaneer money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but obviously it's not. They've kept it at 55, and obviously you're going to get it less than that. Let's be honest, that's a full RRP. But I think it's not a small helicopter. Let's be honest. It's a big old lump.
There's a lot of plastic. I've got more plastic down here again. You would have seen from the box.
Is there?
What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws.
So it's
So, what question I've got? Obviously, it's one airframe, and I would imagine internally it's had a lot of changes over its lifetime.
Yes.
Do they include those? Are there different internal parts in the kit?
Again, when you look at the instructions, down in here, page 1 is like which one you're going to do, because you've got to open up various things on the bottom, on the floor. I go here, so you can see this is for the HS1, and you're opening up down here because obviously it's got the sonar, so it's got the dipper. And you obviously got the seat holes coming up for obviously the winch operator, the radar or navigator, whatever it is on these guys in there as well. But then obviously it's very similar on the 5, but obviously by the time you get to it, it goes to just, the HU, as in utility, helicopter utility. You don't have the sonar buoy, so you don't open any of those up anymore. So again, it's going to be quite bare bones down the back. It's just going to have the seats. So that's the difference between them. And then what that enables you to do then, and as was pointed out, even if perhaps you're doing the later one without all the sonar gear and all the rest of it, so it probably have the radar, but it hasn't got all the sonar stuff, then you can actually do the internals as a separate. Because they're nicely detailed. If you wanted to, you could not actually put it in it. If you wanted to button it up with all the doors shut, you could show the internals in the back as a separate part.
That one that's on the box then?
Yeah.
Where was that based in real life?
That was down at Coldrose, I think. Because obviously back in the day, a lot of them were down in my neck of the woods. So Chivner, Coldrose. So that one was, Coldrose. So she actually spent her entire life in Coldrose, which if you don't know is down in Cornwall, the depths of Cornwall. So, yes, the real proper back end of Cornwall. So it is a long way down there. If I remember rightly, back in the day, during the Cold War, Coldrose was Europe's largest helicopter base because all the anti-submarine warfare stuff was all there. So, but again, so from that point of view, they call it the dipper or the pinger. So it's the one that actually has a hole through the floor, and it lowers a sonar into the water, hovers there, has a ping around a bit, see if it can hear anything, moves off to another area, things like that. But that's where obviously the S comes in, because you've got helicopter, helicopter search, isn't it? Was it assault search or something? Can't remember now. And then obviously HU is just utility. So that's when it dropped all the pinger equipment and stuff like that. Still has a radar, because obviously they have a different radar on the top. So, this one is the early one. They call it the thimble type because it's quite small. And then obviously you've got another one, and that obviously is a lot bigger. So, on there. So
you got a winch with it then?
Yes, you get a full winch with it and all the details for that. You've got, pretty much everything you could want or ever need down in here.
For a Sea King.
For a Sea King, yeah, definitely. Again, that was another question that did come up in the questions, which was a fair one, about, because obviously this one here would carry torpedoes and stuff. Again, this is one of those things. I don't know if they're trying to move slightly away from, because it's not cool anymore to arm helicopters, and, the world's a bit more unicorn wide, shall we say. So, so that, I was pointing out there's nothing on fire in the background.
Yeah.
Because I did mention that we could have had a ship sinking and but again, that may come along for another box art. I just don't want to jinx anything here, but you might see that on a later one. But this one's just got a lighthouse down in here. In fact, you can't see it on here. The picture they showed us, you can see the lighthouse. So they thought they'd just do a naval one, but again, it's quite, I think, politically correct these days to have it. But as they pointed out, if we used to give it torpedoes and all the things they could do, then obviously that's another sprue, it's another tooling cost, it's another mold cost. Obviously, price of the kit starts to jump up and work its way up. So again, it's one of those ones.
So it's not like GOG Aftermarket though, is it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, and that's what they're saying already. When we were talking to them, they were on the phone to aftermarket companies who want to get hold of a kit and start measuring it up. So they're coming down.
I'm going to say they're going to be there to get, aren't they, or whatever. So I won't stress about that. So minor detail in the grand scheme of things, isn't it? So
it is. So I'm going to get this one out of the room. Riveting. So again, you probably got a picture here. You can see it's recessed rivets right the way over this kit. Now I've heard online, I must admit, as you know, I don't really go online and look around at anything, and I don't watch anybody else's, but obviously the guys have been mentioning it before we came on air. There's a little bit of whinging on a few points that I posted up as well about it, saying about, it's all recessed rivets. Well, the real thing isn't. You're quite right. The real thing is just braille. You run your hands down it, it is complete braille. But also that's the problem, because when you've got a kit that is as detailed as this is, with literally all of this riveting detail all over it, how do you possibly recreate that as a raised rivet? Because the problem you've got, and just hear me out here, if it's a domed rivet, it's got to have a certain amount of height to be viable. And otherwise it's going to look like the old helikits where it's got too many rivets, are too tall. But because they're tall, they have to be slightly spaced apart to make them look good. And because they're spaced apart, there's not enough of them. So if you imagine, if this was all raised rivets, it literally, you'd have to wear gardening gloves to handle it, because it's going to be sharp right the way over. But you've got the problem then is that you can't put as many raised rivets in as you can recessed. And okay, before everyone starts on me over this saying, but blah, 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 you've got to imagine there's limitations in the tooling price. So yes, I'm sure there's manufacturers out there that could recreate every single rivet one-to-one, but the tooling cost to do that, the thing would absolutely be covered in it, and go through. It was pointed out in the briefing that just doing this, I think the skin on the Sea King it's usually around about 0.3 to 0.5 mil thick. And then down in here, and I say in the review as well, you've got 5 parts. And Chris was explaining that he's got to actually, from a design point of view, work out the overlap, because they're not butt joints, they're overlapped on these things. So you start with this one down in here, and then obviously this one goes and it overlaps over the top of it, the next one up. And then you can join the side one comes in and overlaps these two. And then you've got another one over here which overlaps this join up here. But again, it's got to be done in a way that is correct scale-wise and aesthetically pleasing to the eye, so it looks like it. And again, if you look at the real thing, there's a lot more rivets on it than this kit's got on it. The thing is literally covered. And the other part is as well, as the aircraft evolves through its career, they get stressed. And obviously, what do? Like pretty much the entire of the British Army and all the rest of it, and Navy and Air Force. They think that's all right, we'll reinforce it. So we'll put another plate on it and a load more rivets, and we'll strengthen up that section. So again, throughout the entire life of this helicopter, not only has it had every lump and bump imaginable to it, it's had a lot more skinning work, been beefed up in some areas, it's had more rivets onto it right the way through. But from a physical point of view of a kit, if you was to put every rivet on just like the real thing's got, you're not actually going to achieve anything. It's not going to look right. Aesthetically to look at, it's going to look overdone, especially when you come in with things like weathering and stuff. If you put a wash near it, it's going to cling to every bolt and it's going to look horrendous. The same way if it is recessed and you put everyone on, you put a wash near it, it's going to look completely overdone with it. And again, when you look at, we've got videos up here clearly of it, but when you look at the real thing, from distance, as we are here, you can see various bits in there, but the riveting you can't really see. You can see the strengthening panels all in there, like these ones running down in here. Hopefully this shows up on the other camera. But you can see them running down here, but you can't see the rivets. And that's the thing to it. And even on here, look, you've got to look really closely to actually see the rivets. So in some ways, if you put them all in there, they're going to look overdone. So you've got to scale them back, and then they're going to be hardly anything, and then it won't be worth doing it. So I'm a great believer in plastic has its limitation. And this is one of those limitations. And I've yet to find anybody who can do raised rivets that are absolutely spot on. Because even if you go back through the classic stuff, and I've been working on some Hella stuff and various things, they got raised rivets. From a scale point of view, they are well overdone. They're too tall, because again, you rub your hand over them and they feel quite sharp and that. Well, a real rivet isn't sharp. It's nicely domed. But, that's the problem you've actually got, The
thing is as well, though, nobody actually thinking it has a Gower kit, and I haven't got any rivet. I've got nothing.
It's got nothing on it. Yeah,
nowhere near. Again, I think you've got to sort of separate reality from a model kit.
Yes,
it's an interpretation.
Yeah.
Of the real thing. It's not the real thing. And like you say, you're in 1/48 scale. You're not in 1:1 scale. So it's one of them conversations that can go on forever and ever, isn't it? Some people like it, some people don't. But at the end of the day, it's a neutral seating in 48. I think it's
absolutely. I think
be happy about it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it was obvious that you were going to get the naysayers jumping on it straight away. And to be honest, it's not worth wasting your breath talking about them.
No,
because they haven't got a clue.
No, and I think that's the thing is that it's all very well people saying, oh, it needs to be this, it needs to be that. But honestly, we're dealing with a plastic kit. I know you hate it, but it's a toy. It's not the real thing. When you're dealing with materials on the aircraft that it's as thick as this plastic, it's thinner than the plastic that's actually on here. For scale, 1:1 scaling, again, you can't go that small. It's almost impossible because all that's going to happen is if you get all those rivets in there, you're just going to blur. It's going to become all rivets and you're not going to have any panel. So, and then you're into the point of like, well, it just doesn't look right because it's completely overdone. If you wanted to, you could pop all the extra rivets in yourself and then send me a photo because I'd love to see what it looks like.
Well, it's a compromise, isn't it?
It's a compromise. You have to make a compromise with it all.
The thing is, if Airfix had done the opposite and put raised rivets on, you'd have all those naysayers moaning about the lack of raised rivets.
Yeah.
Saying it should have recessed rivets because it just doesn't look right.
And also the thing is, from a build point of view, unless you are that core 0.1% of them out there who want it to be absolutely perfect, the rest of us want a fun, enjoyable build. And if you've got to replace raised rivets, all of them, it would be a nightmare.
I was about to say that. You've got to think, there's obviously seam lines on that you need to sand and clean up, and whatever details there is going to be lost. And it's a lot easier putting some recessed ones back in than the raised. So I can live with it. I can definitely live with the recessed, no problem at all.
Absolutely. And again, don't get me wrong, it does have them. So, for instance, if I just find it, where is it? Where's the floor?
Can I just point out, when you click, the styrene looks really nice.
Yes, yeah. And again, this is the other thing, talking about that, this is an all-Indian kit. So a lot of people saying, oh, it must be coming out of the UK. I say I don't want to speak for Airfix, clearly. It's their company. But from what they were saying to me is that although it's really nice doing, obviously, the UK with the Spitfire and all the rest of it, India's really catching up. You know, the stuff's really looking good. And this one's all come out of India now and all the rest of it. And it's like, it's just as good as you would find anywhere else. And the thing is, you know, at the end of the day, it's money, guys. It's cheaper in India. You know, you can get it out there. And that's why the kit is 55 quid. Done in the UK, going to be a lot more. So, but anyway, go back on track. So this riveting you can see down in here on this picture on the side. On the inside here, all of these rivets here are raised. So they're nice, they're designed, they're really nice. But you look at, you know, quite far spaced apart they are. You know, they're not right on top of each other. But obviously when you look at the kit, how it would have to be on the real thing to make those raised rivets on the surface, is you can imagine if you put just one in between each one of these, all of a sudden it's just going to be a line of rivet. It's not going to be any gaps between it. And it still wouldn't be in scale. You'd have to put probably 2 or 3 in between each one of these to make it in scale. But as you can see on these ones running down in here with a panel line, if you imagine just putting one more extra rivet in that, it's going to look like a line, a plastic raised panel line going down each side, because it's going to be so much of them. So imagine if you had to put 3 in there to get it to the right scale. It's not going to work. It's physically off. And these, I would say, are around about the right height, maybe even a little bit too tall. But again, these rivets are all quite sharp. So because you want them domed, they'd have to be slightly wider to give that domed effect. And because of that, it isn't going to work. It's just physically impossible, I think, to do it. You know, hey, prove me wrong. I'm sure somebody will. Send me some photos of a kit in 48 scale with raised rivets, you know.
That's acceptable on that interior part because it's inside, it's difficult to see.
Yeah.
So if they're slightly enhanced like they are, it's going to make it more visible when you're looking in from the outside, isn't it? So they can get away with it.
Yes.
It's that artist thing. You're exaggerating the detail, aren't you, to make it so you can see it. Do you know what I mean? I like that. I think that floor there, you know,
that does look nice actually.
It's crying out to be painted and weathered. It's just, you know, it's jumping out. It looks really, really nice and crisp. So, and actually, I'll tell you what I've noticed as well is the sprue attachment points are very small. You know.
Yeah, again, and also they're slightly offset. So they're not actually, you know, in the middle of the part. They're slightly to one side of the part as well. Yeah. Just to make them a little bit easier and neater on the part itself. You know, which again is another nice little touch for it. My only bugbear, 2 bugbears I have with this kit. First of all is, if I can just find it, one is the ejector pins on the inside. Because they are a little bit, this is obviously the interior of the cabin with these ejector pins in them, which are a bit cruel. They're not a problem to get rid of. Luckily, there's no detail. So again, if it had had all the detail like the real thing's got, because again, the real thing on the inside, you'll find that this has got, you know, fasteners all the way through on this, which hold the soundproofing to the wall. You know, I've got a video on it and there's photos that I've taken as well of it. You know, the interior doesn't have that, which again, I think would be a bit overkill because you're not going to see any of it. But if you did, obviously, if you were sounding out these, you know, ejector pins, then obviously you're going to have a bit of a problem because obviously you've got them here. That one's a very faint one, but these 2 are quite meaty around in here. And obviously it's on both sides. So again, it's a little bit of a, yeah, it would have been nice if they would have been sort of, you know, perhaps reverse molded a different way or something else like that. But again, it's just, it's on the inside. Are you going to see it? Are you going to notice it? Probably not, you know. But it is one of those ones where you sort of think, okay, you know, I just wasn't expecting them to be there. But the rest of them are all very, very nicely done indeed. So
is that your first new Airfix kit you've got without any short shots then?
It is, yeah. I've lucked out. I did say to them when we was doing it, it's a bit like a lottery. Because obviously we're all given a kit as we're walking out the door. And it was like, I better not get a short shot in here. Because I will be that one who gets it. You know I will be. And then I did say to them, I said, I hope you've got spares. And they were like, no, that's it. That's the only ones we've got. So there is no more. You're going to have to wait. So, but yeah, again, it's one of those ones where, you know, as I say, I think the riveting thing, it's done to death because everyone brings it out. And I know there's probably people in chat. In fact, I've just seen one. Hold on. Where are we? I will go back through chat in a minute and we'll do questions. You can shout them out again because they'd be going back through it all. But everyone's going to mention about other manufacturers doing them. And again, the guys talking about the MI24, nicely built and raised, the MI8, but they haven't got them all in there. That's the whole point. So
but Yeah, but I'm not being funny with that, right? Which one are they on about? Are they on about the trumpeter kit or are they on about the Zvezda kit?
Zvezda one, I think. Yes.
Right. Well, the difference is here. Obviously, Zvezda, I think, is all in house.
Hmm.
But obviously, Airfix are doing it thing, and then it's going to India to be tooled. There's a budget, and I think people forget they're working on a budget. And I know Pranjit said it before and stuff, but you know, it's not an unlimited budget because then it just gets out of hand. So they've got a price point and they've got to stick to it. So there's compromises, isn't there?
Yes.
Because obviously the tooling, we got an inkling of how much tooling is, and it's very, very
eye-watering.
It is eye-watering. Yeah, I think that is a good way to put it. It's eye-wateringly expensive, and obviously Airfix are like a business like PM is and whatever. They need to make. They've got to make money. They've got to get the money back off that. So.
I mean, we are lucky because we know Pramjit fairly well, and we do get an insight into what's actually involved and the costs.
Well, it's been on the show and actually,
it's eye-opening, definitely.
It's beyond eye-opening. You know, I don't know. My point of view is like I said, it's nice to have a new tool kit. I think. Do you know what? Just an observation here from when we've done these shows, okay, right? Do you think because it's Airfix, it gets more scrutinised than if it was somebody else's? Because I do. I think
I do. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
under the microscope, especially in the UK, whatever they release is just tore to bits in a horrible sort of way. They're trying to find faults with it, yeah?
Yeah.
And I think it's more exaggerated than probably like any other manufacturer. I know, you know, there is them that do get sort of slated, but we know about, you know, we know about them. But I think Airfix do whatever the releases. I think because it's so anticipated, and like I said about the beginning of the year with the releases and stuff. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I think people just need to just take a step back and just be grateful that Airfix are still going and in business and releasing new kits, new toolkits, and they are, you know, interesting subjects that nobody else is going to probably do a Royal Navy or an RAF version of a Sea King because they would do the Americans one because there's a bigger market. They were more exported, more sold, you know, and obviously the Airfix company as it is do a lot of British stuff, don't they? That we, you know, they've done the Vulcan, which people are asking for. They've done Buccaneer, that people are asking for. I don't know. Yeah,
it is. I did say to them when we were having lunch and that, we were discussing various things, and I did say that it's always that thing. You can tell your success by the amount of attacks you get. Because when you're the underdog and you're a struggling little company, everyone loves you. It's like, oh, bless him. Give him a hand up. Oh, don't you keep going, mate. You're doing good. You know, as soon as you get there, everyone's like boot you. You're a twat. You don't know what you're doing. Get back in your hole, you know? And that's what it is. It's a measure of your success, I would put it. So I said to him, so you must be doing something right. Because everyone feels that strongly to criticise something.
Well, but look at the excitement. Look at the excitement of the January of like the weeks before is what's going to be in the Airfix catalogue. Yes. You know, I'm not even funny. I don't even think Tammy will get that anymore.
No, definitely not. Again, with Tammy, you just don't know. Anymore. Yeah.
I'm actually trying to think of another company, UK obviously, not worldwide, that get that sort of, like I say, scrutiny of what's going to be released and, you know, the buzz around it when they're going to do it. I can't off the top of my head. Can you?
No, not at all.
So, you know, I think again, just going back to the packaging as well. You know, we mentioned this a lot, but box arts, you know, they do really nice box arts. They do nice sturdy boxes, open, not pull out ones, you know, that crush when you just look at them, they fall into bits.
Yeah.
It's an all round package, isn't it? It's a good. The instructions are good. They're pretty clear. I don't know. Yeah, we sound like an Airfix fanboy now, don't I?
It does, and I know we probably do sound a bit like fanboyish, but again, you guys know me. You know, you've watched me probably for the last 20 years doing this. If there's criticism, they will get it both barrels. Everyone knows that about me. They know I am a risk. That's why, I'll be honest with you, there's companies out there who won't talk to me because they know I'll say it, you know? They know who they are as well because I've spoken to them and it's like, yeah, we know you, you know? But again, at least Airfix have always been gracious enough. And again, yes, of course, I've known Pranjit now since he was knee-high to a grasshopper. or it feels like it. He probably was, to be honest. And he then, he worked with Airfix. He's developed. He obviously was the lead on the Buccaneer. He's just done the 35 and all the rest of it. And you can see how and he's going to hate me for this, but you've seen him turn from a young lad with a passion into a really capable designer, engineer, and all the rest of it. And that's what we're seeing as well with Airfix as a company. They did lose their way. That's not beat around the bush here. Airfix made some big mistakes in the past. And again, let's face it, it's down to money and shareholders and all the rest of it. But what Airfix have always have is that attitude of that, one, they listen. Secondly, they're incredibly approachable. Like I said, you can talk to any of them and you don't get that sort of glazed over look when you're talking to them. They get an ideal for it. They'll understand. They'll work with you. Like as you said, how many times have you had people say about short shots and it's crap and I've got short shots? They say bloody replace them. We work with companies who just ignore us when we say we haven't got a fuselage. Can we have one, please? And then they just don't bother. So we've got a warehouse full of kits, which is going to be great for some type of sale in the near future.
Hey, if you're going to scratch build something.
Yeah, if you need a scratch build anything, I think we've got halves of everything these days. But a lot of companies won't. Airfix have never let us down yet. You shoot them a message, they're like, yeah, no problem, we get you out a replacement part if they've got them. And they're really, really good for it.
If you're a British modeler of a certain age, you just grew up with Airfix.
Yes. It is a bit nostalgic as well, the old Airfix brand in it, I think, as well.
And when you talk to anyone and they sort of, might ask what your hobby and that is, you say you build scale models and they say, oh, you build Airfix kits.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
Straight away is that, you always get that, don't you? I mean,
it's not, you build Tamiya or you build this, it's you build Airfix kits. Oh, I know, yeah.
Well, at least that's something to relate to. So we've got any questions then?
Yeah, so guys, post up your questions now. And John, if you keep an eye on chat, because I clearly haven't got it because I've got a screen on.
There have been some in chat, but they
well, there you go. If you've got any questions about the kit or anything you want to ask us about it, as I say, I can only go from what I know. I'm not Airfix. But, if you've got anything at all, shout now and I'll do it. The only other thing people were talking about is like rotor sag. Pointed out in the review, these are sag on their own. Literally the amount of sag on that with no weight on it because they are incredibly thin. They are really, really thin. So they've got natural sag without touching it, let alone bunging it over your thigh, So I honestly wouldn't worry about rotor sag. So, yes. There you go. Jim built his first Airfix kit in 1978. Probably me same time, I would have thought, roughly around about there.
Probably. Just as well, a quick one if you hadn't seen the show earlier. We have obviously as PM got this up on a pre-order.
Yes.
So it has been very popular so far. We put it up obviously when we knew yesterday. So any of our members, if you do want one and you've been sold and you get your name down quick because obviously it's doing soon. So it'll be a nice, hopefully quick pre-order. So it'll be in and out. So yeah.
Yeah. I've got to say hello to Moss. Moss is in chat. He's in YouTube chat as well. Lovely to see you, mate. We had a giggle. Moss is that person in the group where you sort of wonder what he's going to say, and I like that. You're not sure what he's going to come out with. Moss is on our wave level, put it like that. Our shows we don't have open air. Moss is like that. Oh, so, yeah. He's one of those where you're wondering where he's going to go with this. So, yeah. Nice to meet you, Moss. Go and see Moss's YouTube channel. Share the love, guys. Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Phil, are you going to be doing a video build of it? Yes, I will. And to be honest,
we all will. Even John's going to do one.
We're all going to do one. We're all getting them in and we're all going to do it.
To be honest, I would probably like to wait to see if they do the AEW one.
You can do two.
This is the AEW one. Oh, what, you mean the Crow's Nest one?
The Crow's Nest one, yeah.
Yeah, I've dropped the rotor blade and I don't want to wheel my chair back and go over it. Does that make sense? I was panicking then. I thought if it's under a wheel, I'm going to go like this and it's going to snap.
It'll have a natural bend in it. Like a banana.
Yes.
Any questions, John?
No.
I thought he was going to start it then, Phil. I thought he was going to get the sticks out.
Yeah, that's it. Get me clippers on it. So, yeah, I'm going to be doing this one because obviously this is the one I grew up with, to be honest. So yeah, used to fly over here all the time and all the rest of it. So I'm going to be doing the old Ace of Clubs from down in Coldrose in '95. So
I wanted the early one, the blue one.
The blue one does look
is that,
nice in the blue.
what blue is it, by the way?
Do you know what? You read my mind, because I don't know what blue it is. What did I say it was earlier? They put it down as matte navy blue. Approximately, I like that. Approximately, it's REF blue grey.
Attacker do it then. Cool. Get that. Attacker do it.
Yeah.
I thought it was. I just wanted to make sure, because same colour I think they did the Wessex as back
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll look cool. That'll look really good.
Yes, and this one's obviously, crikey, I do hate it when they do these colour things like this. Right, 165, which is what? Medium sea grey over the old signal red. So yeah, very nice indeed. But yeah, that's my plan. So yeah, it will be a build, and it will be up on the site and all the rest of it. As I say, I must admit, I love doing helicopters, a lot of you know, and quite excited really.
I'm gonna say, I bet that's one of them now. You're itching to start it.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Harrier can wait.
Quick, Harrier, just get the Harrier out there.
The Harrier can wait. So anyway, that did break my heart. I did ask them if they're going to be re-releasing the FRS 1 24 scale Harrier I'm currently working on. And luckily for you lot, they said no. So there's no plans on releasing that one anytime soon, unfortunately. Or fortunately, you don't know how lucky you are. So
if you'd have seen Phil before we came on,
yes,
yeah, that's all I'll say. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Hello, Mr. Flory. Were you disappointed it wasn't a Wessex? They know I wanted a Wessex, and they still know I want a Wessex. My first initial thing, because I think we can talk about this now. Now we're off of it. It's when they said where it was. Obviously, it's only down the road from me anyway, and I knew about it anyway. So I just did the sort of simple maths on it of what they've got there. So it's going to be one of them. And I knew where they had been and where they hadn't been, more importantly. So, and I knew they hadn't been to a certain place that's got a Wessex. So,
Seeking.
They had a Wessex there, but they didn't have a Sea King.
Yeah.
So, and they never went there. So I thought it's got to be the Sea King because it's the only natural one that's left. So yeah, it was one of those. So I must admit, I mentioned it, and it was like, yeah. So
John had worked it out as well, hadn't you, John? On Monday, you'd worked it out.
Yeah.
And Praro here.
I will say, if anyone from Airfix does watch this, now you've brought out that fantastic kit, can we please have a 148 scale Puma?
Funny enough, somebody mentioned about that one in there.
No, we were at Telford. You'll have to write it down.
Yeah. Well, every time they do those things on Facebook with what would you like to see next, I always put 148 scale Puma.
I think we'd all vote for a Puma as also. I would say like obviously in the thing, but we've always said like
we've all said a Puma would be nice.
Would be ace, wouldn't it? It would be great. It really would. So
quick one for Jeffy, who said about was there a mention of crew for the kit? It was a question that came up from one of the guys there, and it was mentioned that no. Also, as was pointed out quite correctly, because this is through the era, the crew would be wearing different stuff.
You could have different...
So what you do, 4 different versions of survival gear. So it just wouldn't work. So they're leaving that up to the aftermarket. And because obviously we also had a bit of a talk from the only female civilian Sea King pilot. And as she pointed out, if you're doing it, it's going to have a female one in it. So it'd be another one they've got to do.
Very true.
Very true. So yes.
You're probably better off with aftermarket for crew anyway, aren't you, generally?
Yeah.
Rather than kit offerings, because they're never usually brilliant, are they? There's the odd exception, I know.
So we were pointing out, it'd have to be like a drone. Be a drone Sea King if you're doing it in flight.
Yeah, in flight. Yeah.
So yeah, no, there's no crew with this kit, and there's not going to be crew in there. Jim was saying that he hasn't seen Airfix kits here in the US since he's been building model kits. Again, it's strange. We often talk about, obviously, the reason, and I'll be honest with you, we get quite vocal about it, is that it's one of the few British companies still going that you can get excited about.
It's iconic.
Yeah, that's it. And they do play to the home market. Yeah, we discussed this, and I discussed it with them when we were talking on Tuesday, how Tamiya, their market is Japan. Everything after that is a very nice bonus, thank you. But when it comes to plastic kits, it's Japan is where their market is. So that's why obviously a lot of it is for the home market. Airfix do the same. they're playing to their strengths. So you don't want to be spreading yourself really thin just to keep the world happy when you've got a core home market, which is there for you.
Let's be honest, right? Going back to another older company, Monogram from the US was mainly US stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
aircraft, everything. It was for their home market, and I think that's that's how it was, weren't it? So there's very few other bits in there. They had the odd splattering, but mainly it was US stuff. So fair play.
Look out, Airfix is in the chat. Who's Airfix? Who is it? I need the name.
Yeah,
because they've come in as Airfix is in the chat. We better stop talking about them then. Clearly.
Yeah, we're not bigging them up anymore.
Yeah, we're not bigging you up anymore. If this is the case, I want a full 3-course meal for in the evening. Thank you. Right, the Sea King was the Mark 7, isn't it? It's the bagger, which Hasegawa did a version of, and it had a resin bag, wasn't it? Deflated, wasn't it? Yeah. And then you could have it doing it like that, which was a really nice one.
And to be honest, Airfix did a 72nd one with their old tooled one. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the subject of the crew, Jamie's in chat, and he does say he'd be happy to model for them, but he wouldn't be seen dead in a pinger.
You'd never get Jamie's head in the cockpit. Anyway, I'd like to point out he was wrong. I saw his video earlier. I had it on. So this is Jamie's from oh god, what's it called? His place, the
Cafe.
Yeah, modelling cafe.
Scale Modelling Cafe. Go and see Jamie. Keep him some love. He needs a bit of home comforts as he's away. Look, bless him.
I'm sure he's really struggling.
Yeah. Well, for his money.
On his bed of Benjamins.
Yes. Okay. What are we talking about? Oh, they're talking to Airfix in here, not to us, which is fair enough. Airfix, take over the chat.
We'll go then.
Oh, it's Dale. How are you, mate? Dale did say him and his crew are going to come on with a show in us. I'm going to say it now because he agreed to it.
Yeah.
So one night, Dale, what we'll do, we'll arrange this when we're all free for it. We'll get all of you lot on, or all lot, we'll have a riot.
Hey, if Dale's on, can I say, can I have one of them Sea Kings, please, Dale? These are models, please.
So yeah, Dale, I'll shoot you an email tomorrow about what we discussed. So I'll get that over to you later. So yes, good job. But no, very, very good on that one.
Yeah.
Did you have to sign a disclaimer when they gave you that kit that you wouldn't get it on eBay quick before it's launched?
Dale did say that. He said, I don't want this to appear on eBay tonight. It was mentioned, but no, we didn't have to sign anything. I was very trusting of him, isn't it? Although I think I'm still under an NDA for the rest of my life, aren't I?
Well, yeah. If I was him, I'd have made you all sign something before you left.
Like you said, I'm amazed they let us walk around the hangar on our own. People coming out with lumps and bumps under your shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
No, I didn't. Phil took several. Has he not shared one with you? I was very good. I had number 10.
Yeah. Dale, check his eBay.
Yeah. Have you seen my eBay account? I'll do it like he does, and it'll be under his wife's.
Let's have an alias.
Yes. That's all right, Sean, because Matt's going to be building his Freylon soon, his Hella Freylon.
Oh, yeah, that's a lump, isn't it? In fact, to be honest with you, before that will be the Puma. Me and Mr. John have sorted out some bits, not our John here, other John.
Other John.
Sorted out some bits for it. We've had other things happening, but the Puma, because I did say I would do it, and I will do it.
Yes.
And Phil's got one now, haven't you, Phil?
I've got one as well, yeah. So we've both got Pumas.
We've both got the old Matchbox Puma. So I think that's first. But yes, a helicopter is definitely coming. I was looking at something to do, and a helicopter is jumping out at me at the minute to do. So
Moss says he had a second one, but Dale took it off him. Is that the bit where everyone walks out together in a big group so they don't know?
Did you have big packer max on?
Yeah.
Flash your max.
Going in with your IKEA bag, you know.
Richard's asking, did Airfix mention at all if they had any other versions in the pipeline?
Am I allowed to say it, Dale? Just drop him in it at that point, don't you?
Like,
Well, from my point of view, clearly we're going to see the RAF Search and Rescue, the yellow one, is going to come out because you can see it in here. I'm just really hopeful we will see the jungly one as well. If it follows suit like they did with the 72nd one, you know, they're obviously going to do other versions of it. So, but again, it's one of those ones where I don't think it's going to be any time soon because obviously this is a huge, big release. You know, and we often talk about as well that they always release the wrong one first. But actually, I don't think they have on this one. You know, we often say about, oh, they always bring out the one you don't really want, but you're probably going to buy anyway because it's a new toolkit.
Yeah.
Because a lot of, and I'm not just picking on Airfix for this, because a lot of the companies do. They all do it. But actually, I have to say, I think this is right. I think this is right. Because obviously you've got this is the full life, if you like, of Westland Sea King. So you can do all the ones through. Yes, of course, obviously you've got the different versions out there. You know, obviously you've got the RAF one, you've got the jungly ones, the three main ones, and then obviously you've got derivatives of this being like the bagger and all the rest of it as well. So yes.
I can't remember who asked the question, but I did see someone asked what were the decals like.
Really nice. Yeah, really nice. Cartograph decals.
Cartograph, aren't they? So
yeah, they're really nice, very sharp, clean, crisp. Again, it's, you know, thank God it's not old Airfix where they won't in register.
Oh God. I won't go with that. Put your overhead on. Let's have a look. There you go.
Oh, sorry, wrong camera.
There you
go. Which one do you want? Solo, that's me.
So yeah. Stencils.
So you have got, but don't forget, you got different versions in here, so it's going to have different things in here. But generally, which is really nice, I have to say, Airfix never skimp on the decals. We've seen other companies do this, but you know, Cartograph, they're really, really good at what they do. And again, kudos over to the design team and everything that are making sure, you know, for the amount of variants and the various things to this one. So again, I was surprised in some ways because the entire, sorry, you guys are on that one. For them to do what they've done here, of take it from, you know, early life to almost end of life, is a big thing because it's not just about all the aerials and the various things on here. It's like the schemes that go into it. It's like, but at what point did it not have a 5-bladed tail and had 6? Because obviously that's what there was a change in that. You get both of them in the kit, and obviously with the rotors as well. You obviously get 2 types of rotors down in here and all the rest of it from when they went from the early type to the later type. But knowing when that actually is. But the great thing about it is that it's all here. So it's up to you to do your little bit of homework. Obviously, if you're going to go with the actual plans we were saying before, then you can just turn around and say, this is from 2002, it's from whatever it was, 85 was it, or whatever, from 95 or from 88. You know they're good, but somewhere in between these, there's going to be lots of changes going on. So again, I don't know actually, when did they change out? What we need is somebody who knows this. Have we not got a member who worked on one of these? There you go. So the 1970s one had a 5-bladed tail rotor, and by the time then it got to 1988, it had a 6. So at some point in there, it changed over. When that was, what Tuesday of the week? That happened. So
you might jest, but you know we're probably going to have a member that worked on them.
I know, and that's it. I was going to say that's why I'm doing it. Really, if you were a member, we'd love to have you on. We'll get you on a show. You can talk us all about it.
Yeah, do you know what though? I think that's pretty unique from any company that's done it from obviously beginning of life to, you know, present day, I suppose, because it is still flying, isn't it? But
yeah,
nobody else has ever done that I know of, which is really good, to be honest. Like you say, and it's had the changes as well, like you say, so they've had to add extra bits in to compensate for the changes. So that's brilliant. No, good thinking. Good thinking.
Again, that is the thing, and that's what I think I was getting at, where we were saying about they've released the most popular kit first, because technically what you've got down in here is all of them through its entire life. So, you know, again, I can't think of any other manufacturer who's ever done that.
I can't.
Not to that extent, you know.
No.
And again, like I was saying earlier, and I think I've said it in the review and the bits and pieces, you know, the research that went in to produce this. And I'm sure that, you know, as you say, Luke was popping in and saying to Chris, oh, I found a photo and it's got this on it. We need this lump here.
What we need to do, Phil, is obviously, you say about getting Airfix on, is get Luke on and actually ask him.
We will grill him.
And ask him about his researching, because you know what, people are interested in stuff like that, and we are, to be honest. It's nice to see the process and how he's gone about it and where he started and how long and where it ended up. So again, if Dale's still on there, if we can,
no, we will. We'll make this happen. We will. We'll get Benji on as well and all the rest of it.
Yeah, because in a way, not, you know, taking the kit out of the equation, that's quite an interesting conversation on its own of like the subject. The research of the subject and all that sort of stuff that goes with it. I think that's a brilliant sort of thing to listen to.
Research is a bad enough minefield when you've got a kit and you want to build it. When you're making a kit, right at the beginning,
proper rabbit hole.
Research from that must be horrendous.
I imagine it would have been. You know, like I said, he must have had some proper sleepless nights over this. And working it out, and then he will do like we all do with this type of thing, of second guessing himself as he got it right, because he knows full well it's a big knife you're going to fall on, isn't it? Because everyone's going to point it out if it's not. Like a Bombay door really on a mosquito, but we won't blame Pranjit for that one.
Hey, decals on a lightning.
Oh, decals on a lightning. Yeah, who would have thought that would have caused World War III? Just to answer one of the questions, Moss is saying here about it changed when they changed the engines. When, though? That's the whole point. What week was that? So apparently they changed the engine, they had the more powerful engine, so it had the upgrade to the tail rotor, which sort of makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that makes about right. Somebody was just asking about, couldn't you just paint it yellow and do it as the RAF one? It depends how accurate you want it to be. You could.
You could.
Because whatever, but technically, I think from what I can tell from here and from limited stuff I've seen with the RAF one, is that it's got a different front end on it. It has a different nose, because this one's got the early nose and the navy nose with the lumps and bumps. I think the H Mark III has a sort of square one on it as well. But again, you know, like, you know, you're a modeler. You could sand off all the detail and put all the other ones back in if you wanted to. It wouldn't be rocket science, because generically, overall shape, it's pretty much the same. But I would just hang around and wait. Just wait for it to come out. But it is wait. It's an easier fix than it is paying. How much are they going for on eBay these days for the Hasegawa one?
What?
If you wanted the flight path, I sold one, didn't I? I can't remember, was it about a year or two ago? I sold one on one of our Flory auctions, and somebody got a right bargain for that. 'Cause I said at the time, that's gone for now. But I didn't fancy doing all the photo etch.
I remember that. I don't know. I think the RF one even fetches more than the one with the bag, if I remember. I don't know, because they're very sporadic when they do come up for sale, to be honest. So I think it's any auction thing, isn't it? It's who wants it, and I don't know if there's any buy it nows, to be honest. That's the gauge. If there's a few buy it nows, then you can get a gauge of the what people are willing to pay for one. But again, it's kind of, I'm not being funny, this release has blown them kind of out the way a bit, hasn't it, to be honest. So
because haven't they got, I'm just thinking about this, the one that they've got in Yeovilton, that's a hype, because we've been in it. That's the hybrid, isn't it? Because they've got it as yellow on one side, as the RAF one, and it's painted up as Ace of Clubs on the other side. But I take it was an HU5 that they've done it to it.
Oh, well, I've got no idea.
I don't know. I was just thinking about that. How have they done that? Knowing a little bit more about it now.
We'll find out next week.
Well, yeah, when you lot are over there next week, go and have a look. There you go, look, 200 quid at the moment for a 148 scale Royal Navy Sea King.
Seriously?
It's on eBay now. If he gets that, that's different, isn't it?
Well, yeah, they're putting it up at a price, but yes.
Gordon! Of course. I forgot about Gordon. So Gordon would have worked on them. So yes, Gordon was saying that the Sea Kings that he worked on were 6-blade tail rotors since 1986. Only went back to 5-blade tails on the Mark IVs with the Carson blade mods. There we go.
Never
See?
disappoint. Hey, our chat never disappoints.
It doesn't, does it? Yeah, I was going to
No.
say, it's one of those things. Like, I put a shout out earlier for Chad, and Chad obviously works on Harriers. So it's like, can I have a picture of a blowing door? There's a picture of a blowing door. Brilliant. Cheers, mate.
Well, it is, isn't it? It's a community, isn't it? That's what we try and, create, I suppose, is a community. So it's,
Yes,
brilliant.
that's it. Can you make the Ukrainian one? I think you can. Because weren't the Ukrainian ones the Mark 46s? Which is very, very similar to the later HU5s.
I'm no expert on the Sea King.
Again, chuck it to chat, they'll know.
Yeah, they'll know. I'm sure somebody in chat would. But it wouldn't be a mile off than an HU5 configuration, I don't think. Because to be honest, that's what they're training on now to fly it over there. Oh, good. Now it's getting all technical. The H1400 engines were 60s and early 70s. So, yeah. Yeah, Gordon, you're okay. I've already asked them about that. They wouldn't tell me, but I did ask him if he got the jungly coming out, because that's my favourite. There's something about a jungly. It's just cool. It's like, it's my type. It's like the pickup truck version. It's not nice, it's practical.
But the ones that we used in the Gulf?
Yeah.
Were they RF? I presume they were RF ones.
Yeah, they were junglies over there, weren't they?
Junglies with the
Mark 4s, yeah.
sand was and everything on in sand.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Yes, HU5s. There you go.
Many years ago, when our youngest was in the Scouts and he used to do the 10 tours competition, they always used to have a jungly there to rescue anyone.
Yeah.
And I spent most of the time just standing around it having a look.
What, licking it?
Well, back in the old days, what they used to do is sling load all the equipment to the checkpoints and then dump it all there. And then the people marshalling the checkpoints used to hop out, set it all up. And that's how it used to work. But I don't think they do that anymore.
The last one he did, one of the girls with them hurt her ankle. So they were way behind. They were never going to finish, but they decided to march on and keep going. And I said, "You idiots! I would have,
stranded to get a ride on a helicopter."
Yeah,
that's what you
could have got a ride on a flipping helicopter.
So what's took over from junglies?
Well, nowadays they sort of use Merlins occasionally.
But
actually took over properly it's the Merlins got converted. They went to Westlands and all work had the ramps, because obviously the RAF version had the ramp. So they all would put in the tail brake into it so the tail can fold round and fold up configuration from the RAF ones. So the RAF ones cashed all theirs in so they could have Chinooks. So, and then all the RAF Merlins became technically what you call them Marine Corps ones to replace the jungly fleet.
Oh, okay.
So
David put up a link in chat of that. It is an RAF rescue on one side, and Acer Clubs on the other. That's cool, actually.
You could do that. It's like a two-face.
Yeah, it is two-face. If you look at it on one side, it looks absolutely spot on. You look at it on the other side, then obviously it's just completely yellow. But that one you used to be able, because me and Matt went in it, didn't we? You go in and walk through it.
Yeah. Which is the one that you walk through to get to the deck? Is that Wessex, isn't it? That's the Wessex where it does the sounds and you can get to the decking, don't you?
That's it. You sit there and vibrates.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the carrier experience.
Carrier experience.
Yeah, that's the one, yeah. Hey, cool.
Yeah, I think you are right there. The Canadian ones are all going to be Sikorsky, which was pointed out that obviously the reason they're not going for Sikorsky is because they'd have to pay probably Boeing, as it is now,
a trillion quid.
A trillion quid. Where Augusta Westland are a little bit more open, I think. So yeah. But yes, I think it's one of those ones. I think it's a very pleasant kit. It looks really nice, and I think the naysayers need to just grow up.
It needs to be built.
Yeah. It does, and I'm going to build it. I'm going to do this probably after we've done the. Christ, it's going to be Airfix year, isn't it? going to do the Harrier and then doing that. Look, working on this bloody
Airfix
thing.
and Hurricanes.
Airfix and Hurricanes, yeah. That'll see me through to the end of the year. It'll be fine.
Probably.
But no, as you say, I'm quite excited for it. I think it's a really nice kit. I think they've done a fantastic job. I don't know if Dale's still hanging around in chat, but the presentation, the launch for it, again, it was a great surprise. It's done exactly what it needed to do, which caused a fantastic buzz, because here we are, talking about it. Everyone's talking about it as far as I can see. And I literally, until I build it, I can't see a fault with it. A couple of little gripes with it, but that's me being picky. And again, I'm always picky with every kit. So,
They must have done something right, because it's the first time we've ever done an extra show.
Yeah, we've never done an extra special show.
Of like a PM show to say we've got a new kit or new releases and all that. So this is like an extra. So,
extra show.
We've never ever done this. So
no.
Paul says, could you do a Bristow's version from the kit?
Oh, I don't know that one at all.
I don't know.
And again, don't forget, I think. Sorry, I'll just put that along a bit, and I'll just put that into somewhere along here. I think, obviously, this is one of those things. You've got a blank canvas for doing other versions of it, as long as obviously it meets the criteria of the basics of the kit. And again, some of the big things is obviously the Sikorsky one is different because it doesn't have the big blisters on the side, and it's technically a different beast all over. So to convert this to like an S3, an SH3, again, you'd almost be backdating it. And again, this thing is covered in lumps and bumps. It's obviously got a different tail rotor and all the rest of it. So I don't think you could backdate it almost. I think it's a little bit more. You're better off holding out for the Hasegawa kit, which you might have seen soon. Just saying. Watch this space. Watch this space, everyone. Because we did say this when this got dropped. I was like, shit, freaking Hasegawa one coming out in a minute. So, we will see. So hopefully that kit will be making a return soon. But again,
says, is it going to be kit of the year, and will Airfix be manufacturer of the year?
Oh, I don't know, because that's going to be tough this year. I think there's some good competition coming out, because obviously Phil's about to get a kit tomorrow that's been anticipated,
spoken about forever,
and obviously you've got your Takum Apache that's really that, it might be helicopter, year of the helicopter, put it that way, that we see, but I don't know. It'd be a tough year this year for us to get our heads together and pick kit of the year, to be honest.
Yes.
There has been some good releases. So.
Yeah, absolutely. This year we've been spoiled, I think.
And not thinking here, because I know we're on about Airfix here, but we haven't seen yet the B26 Marauder from ICM.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, we don't know yet. That's an open till at least December, isn't it? Till we're to decide. But I was
going to say, like Moss is saying, we've got the Gannet coming down the line as well.
We've got Gannet coming, another Airfix kit. Some good releases, aren't there? So
I think, at the end of the day, this year has probably been one of the best years when you think about the releases we've had and coming down the line, and kits pushing forward. Like this kit is definitely a step above the Buccaneer. It's a step above all the other ones. It's, obviously bang up there now with all the stuff. Say other ones down there, the Armour Hobbies 48 scale Hurricane looks like it's going to be another milestone in scale modelling for design and all the rest of it. And again, this year, not being funny, we've been spoilt with this helicopter. We've been spoilt with the Apache as well, And again, we've had the CH-54, the Sky Crane.
I think as well that's got to be up there is the old Bandai Razor Crest. It's got to be up there as a,
Yeah.
The
small one.
That I'm
you can build it now. Sorry, John.
I said you've got the big Havoc that I'm eagerly anticipating getting my hands on.
Yes.
The Hong Kong one.
Are you going to bring it down with you, Matt, and I'll review it, and then John can have it?
What, you're gonna open his bags?
Can you rephrase that?
No.
Is he to that age yet? I've got to help him empty his bag.
Hey, do that on Saturday evening. A cider. Can you review your A20, John?
Yeah.
There you go then.
He doesn't have a choice. If he wants it, he has to have it via me. I've still got his other kit down here in his book.
Yeah. I shall be picking that up, don't worry.
Yeah. He's got a lot of explaining to do to Lynn.
Yes.
No, I've been open. I've admitted it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. She's not bothered anyway. She was like, and so no.
Yeah,
Good.
Moss is saying as well about the Anson is right up there as well with it.
Yeah.
Very much underrated.
Then this is Airfix, though, isn't it? We're really, you know, they do good subjects.
The last couple of years, they've really.
Yeah.
Moved
I mean,
up
we're not.
notch, haven't they?
I know. Obviously, we've had one version, but we're going to get the RAF Buccaneer as well, aren't we? 48. So.
I was going to say, wasn't the S61 a different beast anyway? It's longer, isn't it? It's stretched because it's got the radar in the nose. It's got the big round bulbous nose, and I thought they were longer because obviously for carrying people in comfort instead of on a bench seat.
Yeah, they were the privately owned ones.
Yeah, civilian one, isn't
it?
They
were got a longer fuselage.
Yeah, Bristow's is privately owned, isn't it? They use it for the oil rigs and that, don't they?
But they're bigger, longer, aren't they? Cool.
Alfonso says as well, quite simply, you can't complain. Several years of work for just 55 quid.
You got to think that as well. That's a good way of putting it.
Good
the
point,
amount of, the amount of work that's gone into that, and what the charging is, exactly. I think that with any kit as well, because we're always moaning about prices, but it's not just Airfix, but across the board. You know what I mean? There's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes before it even gets anywhere near the consumer. So, yeah.
But because it's that nice price, but because they've left it till the last minute and it's going to be out in 3 weeks, and like you said earlier, that excitement's going to be there. They're going to sell a ton of them, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, that's what they want. That's what you want.
So that is actually quite a good question. Who was just... Hold on, let me just back read where I was. Ollie says, will the bulge behind the left-hand side exhaust cause an issue with the decal like it did on the 72nd Sea King? Do you know what, Ollie? I think it will. Because there's no way that flat decal is going to conform onto this. Because what we're talking about for people... sorry, wrong one. Where's me? Here we go. This bulge here, as you can see, is quite prominent, which is one of the biggest differences between this and the Sikorsky one. And obviously, we're talking about this decal here is supposed to tuck in behind the exhaust and come along, but it's going to ride, I think, up on top of it. I'm pretty sure it's going to ride over it.
I'd use that as a mask and spray it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, because obviously on here it's showing it onto there. But yeah, I'm pretty sure there's no... Yeah. Do you know what? Matt's right. I'd probably use that as a template and mask it. So, as you say, photocopy it just to be sure or whatever, but then draw around it and then use that as a mask over the top. And that way you can just sort of play with it on the top there, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be right along the underside, because I don't think it drops down far enough to go round it. I think they've done it where it sort of goes over the top of it.
Unless a lot of set and sole.
Well, yeah, lots of set and sole for about a week might get it down.
Oh, well, no rush modelling, is there? It's no race. I've just had a look. That access panel's very nice under that bulge.
Steady. Are we off to emptying bags and bulges again?
Yeah.
No, it is, isn't it? So again, we were talking about here. Don't forget these, no raised rivets. These here, running down here, they're all raised. I can do a quick. You hear them?
Yeah, I can do it. Click test.
So click test. So you can see those are actually raised. So it's not, and again, these access ones on this panel on here for this one here, they're all raised as well. So it's not just flat right the way through. We were discussing this. I was talking to John, the pilot. What the hell are they expecting to tie down with a shackle that big? Because obviously it's a tie down clamp for the aircraft for when it's on carriers and that. But seriously, it's like if anything that's going to rip the aircraft in half. But the size of these things, you could moor a ship to them. But they are massively heavy, because we got out and we gave it like a door knocker effect, and they are absolutely huge. But yeah, it's tie down shackles. But yeah, it's like typical Navy. Well, it's got to be able to tie a ship to it. But they are absolutely huge on that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, if that's on a real full size, that is massive.
But again, it's really, really very, very nice. Again, do like it.
Get it built.
Get it built. Yeah, that's it. Tune in next week, everyone. I'll be bored of the Harrier at this point and be like, do you know what? For the first time ever, I might just start on this one.
Yeah.
Harry, who suddenly gets pushed off to one side. So, but yes, but seeing as I've got 3D printing nozzles for it at the moment, which will be ready in about a month at this rate. It's been going since 2
You've probably nearly
o'clock.
finished. It's 8:30.
Is it? It probably is going to tell me it's probably another week to go.
I thought you could do a grand reveal.
Well, I would do, but it's still probably good. Shall I see how many percent it's on?
Yeah.
Oh, no, hold on. They're hooked up still.
I could say, don't pull your earpiece. I think that would come in. Spin the camera around. You could show them.
We're actually not that far off. It's at 98%.
Ooh,
So that's probably about half hour to go then.
Hey, hope you don't have an epic fail like I did earlier.
So, no, it'll be all right. It'll be fine. We'll see how that comes out and all the rest of it. So, anyway, cool. Any other questions?
Before we wrap up.
Before we wrap up. Yeah, Moss says the one, because they had, was it Stu built all 4 of them? They've got a magazine thing. Where is it? Hold on, got some nice bits of bump here. Here it is. There's a special supplement they've done here for, I'll put it in here, you can see. Oh, what am I doing? God, I'm all over today. Yeah, so this is obviously Airfix Modelling World. They had all 4, which we all saw, all made up. So again, some great little research and various bits. I'm sure this is going to be in the magazine as well, but obviously it's got all the versions of it all down in here. So, but yeah, with them all in there. But yes, it looks like that's not the decal, or he's not even bothered with. Oh yeah, it is there, but I assume he sprayed it in. I don't know. It might just go underneath it. I don't know. I don't think it does. Not looking at it. It's close. Put it like that. Right on that side. Hold on. Have a look at another version.
And the other nice thing was to see that the actual model built up. The actual models were quite a good quality, weren't they?
They were, yes. Yeah, they are actually production kits. So
unlike some that.
What are you trying to say at Revel again?
I wasn't going to mention any names. You mentioned that.
I didn't. You said it.
You thought it.
I haven't read this yet. He might even say about it in here, but he says some nice reference stuff. I'm sure this is going to make its way into a and probably if anybody's in chat knows. So yes.
You think you'd put one in with a kit, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but they're doing these ones as well. These are quite flash.
They are very flash.
Very glossy.
Tim just asked, what would you do for seatbelts? Make them our own or make them yourself? Or can you think of anything similar? Maybe the Merlin set would work. It's not going to be long before the aftermarket guys jump on it anyway.
By the time that comes out, about a week or so later, you'll get the set, I reckon.
Yeah, let's face it. Quinta Studios are probably already sizing it up.
Edard
will be, and all the rest of it. So
yeah, not be long. You know, they're getting the aftermarket are getting faster and faster now with new releases. It's just literally a couple of weeks later and something's there. So
yeah, no, it doesn't take long now. With the aid of CAD and stuff, it's not like the old days where they have to wait for the part to turn up and then start measuring it.
Yeah,
they'll do it. But again, I think it's one of those ones where, aftermarket wise, where do you want to stop? Because I'm sure there'll be lots of stuff coming out for this, right the way through. But as I say, I don't know if the bagger version is going to be coming out with the crow's nest on it and all the rest of it. But I would, we know that the search and rescue one's coming down the line. I would love to see a jungly one come down the line. Definitely do a Mark IV. But as I say, after that, I think it may be up to the old aftermarket stuff. But again, let's face it, it's not going to take long. What does this kit really need at the end of the day? A mast set. But, harnesses, that'd be quite nice for it. You could probably do with a colour photo etch instrument panel if you wanted to go down that route. But the decals are there, look quite nice. And to be honest with you, it's got nice bezel detail and everything on the old instrument panels and things like that. So they're all quite nice. They're nice sharp detail and various things. So, nothing's crying out for it. It's not like, it could do with such and such. But mast set definitely, and then after that you can sort of take your pick with it. But seeing the ones built up, they really do look nice. You know, it's a nice scale kit. It's chunky, you know.
Yeah.
So, good job.
Lovely stuff. So we'll call it a night.
Yeah, we just said earlier in the show, Simon, you can't technically do an RAF one straight out of the box with this. You could probably, with a bit of plastic card and a bit of sanding, you know, redo it to make it. But there's an RAF one coming down the line. I'd wait for it. As I say, it's going to be out within a year, I would say. So it does seem a long time, but time definitely does fly.
Yeah, it does.
Cool. Good job. Righto then, guys. Well, we'll leave it right there, I think. Thank you very much for joining us for this special Seeking special show that we sort of threw together at about 2 o'clock this afternoon. So, for everything else, again, have a look at the review. We've got the reviews up on the site and all the rest of it. There's loads of still images which I've taken from it. If anybody's got any questions, then shoot them over to us. Airfix, you know, Dale's on there at the moment. I think he's still in chat, maybe. You know, they're very receptive. Any questions, shoot them a message, ask them. You know, they'll get back in touch with you. But from our point of view, thank you to Airfix for a lovely day out. Thank you for the kit. It's a really nice kit. And thank you to Airfix for striving and pushing and delivering fantastic kits like this. And I do love a surprise. So I'm expecting one in July next year.
Yeah, one every year now.
With like a week's notice.
Yeah.
Well, you think, I'm just trying to work out, I can't remember when it was, but Brooke messaged me, it must have been 2-3 months ago now, about it. So, and that's when I first got a sniff of it. So, and they've been working on it a year. So, but yeah, it was a very, very nice, pleasant surprise. And I think, as I said, the trouble we have with this time of year, there's not many kits coming out and it gets a little bit stale. The doldrums, we always call it. And it's been a really nice, pleasant surprise. And as I say, it looks to be really, really nice.
The next site about the hobby, so that's always a plus. So, yeah.
So, yes, very nice. But anyway, thank you very much for joining us this evening. We are going to be with you live tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock. So we've got a fun build. So me and Matt will be with you. I'll be working on Blue Thunder. And, you know, obviously we can talk about this and anything else you want to talk about as well, making our way through. Matt then will be showing off his, well, almost finished, because he sort of avoided doing it on the show.
What?
The 190.
No, I'm doing the Land Rover, aren't I?
Oh, you're doing the Land Rover. Show me 190 quick.
Tomorrow. I won't be here, so I won't.
Seeing as this is Airfix, you can show me go on, get it over.
What, this?
Your little one.
That.
Is this the biggest model you've ever built?
Me? No.
What have you done bigger than a 24 scale then?
I've built a 24 scale Hurricane, which is bigger than this.
Oh, is it bigger?
I think so.
Oh, I don't know.
So this is the at least it's fitting with Airfix, because this is the old 24th one.
So fantastic kit.
I won't go that far, but it's buildable. But yeah, so I've been using Phil's shameless plug.
Yes. New dust wash.
Dust, grime, and dark dirt. That's all you need.
Yes.
To make the perfect weathering. So yeah, this is the 124th scale 190. It's getting there. We are getting there with it. So
every time you pick it up and down, yeah, I know. I've done the 30-second one and it scares the crap out of me. Every time you go near it, it looks like it's going to fall over.
Why do you think it's on a bed of cushions at the back?
Stick it on blocks.
Just in case, yeah, it's on blocks. So yeah, no, we're getting there with it.
Very good. Right. Okay then, guys. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Big thank you for John for joining us as well at very short notice. As well, as I say, be with you tomorrow afternoon. And then obviously on Friday, I'll be with you for the Roundup show. And obviously next part of the Harry will be up with you as well. So until later, everybody, happy modelling. Take care. See you all soon. Say goodbye to everyone. We're out of here.
Bye.
Bye. Hold on. Got to find the off button somewhere.